Hi everyone, it's Lynn Dion here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I'm really excited to show you one of the brand new sets from Art Impressions. This is the Birthday Buggy, and we're going to make this cute little birthday slimline card. So let's start off with some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, and for ink we're using the VersaFine Onyx Black Permanent Ink. So this is the adorable little birthday buggy set, and you can see you get all these coordinating images. You get the presents, the balloons, some candy, a bow, some streamers, and a sentiment, and of course the little buggy. So for coloring today, I'm using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and I'm using carmine red, yellow, orange, May green, blue, violet, and then I'll add a little bit of black and the light gray here and there. So as you can see, I'm kind of going for a rainbow theme here. So I'll start off with this carmine red, and I'll add my shadows down here at the bottom of the car and just kind of pull that right up towards the top, and you can see how easily I can blend this, and I'm going to keep the top of the car the lightest. So I am using the Zig blender pen to do my blending, and you could also use a water brush here if you prefer. And if you get too much ink on your blender, you just want to scribble it onto your scrap paper until it goes clear, or if you're changing colors. And then once it's clear, you know it's good to go on to your next color. So I do want to mention that in this series, this is called the Art Impressions Rides series. This is a series of these little vehicles, and this one again is the Birthday Buggy Set, but there's also a Spooky Wagon, which is kind of a Halloween themed set. It has this really fun old-fashioned buggy, and there's pumpkins, a cat, some ghosts, a spider. So that's really fun. And then the other one is the Christmas truck set. And that is a little pickup truck. It's got snow on it, but I'm thinking you could remove the snow, or maybe I'll do a card on that so I can show you what I'm thinking. And then make that maybe for springtime as well. But this Christmas truck set comes with a Christmas tree, some presents, candy cane, a snowman, a wreath, and some string lights as well. So these were designed to mix and match together. So these sets were designed to kind of interchange these elements. And of course you could interchange them with other stamp sets you have as well. So that makes these really fun. And I like when my sets are versatile and I can use them for several other things. So I thought today I would create this large slimline card. So this will measure 3.5 by 8.5 when we're done. And in my mind, I was thinking just sort of a party scene where the car is just driving through and there's presents and candy and balloons. I thought it just a happy scene, sort of reminding me of that game Candyland that I used to play when I was a kid. I loved that game. I thought it was so much fun. And then I thought for the background, I would create a beautiful, bright, sunny sky. And I'll show you how we do that. We're going to be using a stencil for that. And then we'll add some shimmer to the sky using a little shimmer mist. And again, I'll show you all that as we go along here. So for the balloon, for this style of balloon, I'm just adding that color to the outer edges, and then I'm pulling in towards the center, but I'm leaving that center very light. I wanted these balloons to look very dimensional. There you can see I got a little extra ink along the white paper, so I'm just lifting it off with my blender pen and then scribbling it onto my scrap paper. Then I went on to this little candy here, and I'm just going to blend that in towards the center, keeping that center area the lightest. I'll add a little bit of orange for a little more shadowing here. And now for the presents, I'm going to add a little color at the bottom and then right under the lid, and then I'll pull that towards the center again. And I'm just scribbling off that extra ink onto my scrap paper. And then I'll just do the lid again, just adding a little bit of color and then pulling that up towards the top. Now for the bow, I'm going to use that May green. And then again, doing the same thing, just to have some light and dark areas on this ribbon, but I'm not spending a lot of time here. Don't need to be too fussy. So now I'm going to be using the oatmeal and the dark oatmeal just to add a little color to this cupcake here. And I'm just pulling that up towards the top. And then I'll grab that light pink to do the frosting. And then just adding a little color to those little sprinkles, just mixing up all those colors we used before. And now for the party hat, I'm going back to the red. I'll just put that color on one side and then I'll pull it over towards the right. Just scribbling off that extra ink as I go along, just to keep that right side a little bit lighter. Then I'll come in with that purple color and I'll do the same thing. I'm adding a little yellow to the top there. And then I've got this purple bow, so I'm adding the color sort of towards the middle and then just pulling it out towards the edges. And this little bow is so cute. I think this could be used for a lot of different projects. So keep in mind, I always try to remember images that I might use for other things. And I just think that bow would be cute on maybe even as a little hair decorations for some of the critters. So I like to look at these images and see what else that I can do with them. So now using the Uniball Signo white gel pen, now that everything's colored in, I'm going to add a few little stripes here. I'll add some little highlights to these items. And again, this just adds some interest and makes everything pop out a little bit more. So once that was all set, I'm going to work on the card panels here. So I'm taking the largest dies from each of these two sets, and these are the large Slimline with sliders and the small Slimline with lift the flaps, and these are from Lawn Fawn. And I'm going to die cut two of that largest one from the Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. So I'll die cut two of these. But what I did want to show you here is it's a little bit long for my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine, so you just want to slide it down a little bit and run it through again, and that'll give you the full length of that panel. So now I want to create a frame out of one of those. So I set one aside, and on this second one I'm going to create a frame. So I'm placing that smaller rectangle inside here. I'm taping it down with a little bit of purple tape. I'm going to do the same thing and just adjust for this by sliding it down a little bit and running it through again. And that's going to give me a pretty white frame. Now with my Slimline stitched hillside borders, I'm going to go ahead and die cut a border here. So I've got a piece of paper that's a little bit longer than the 8.5 inches that I need. And I'm going to just select one of these borders here. I decided to go with this kind of wavy looking one because I'm going to tuck the car in behind this. So I want it to be kind of interesting, have a little bit more interest. So I'm just going to cut this right down to size here, so that'll measure the same length as that larger panel. And then I've got my frame on top. So now we've got all those elements ready to go. So with ripe persimmon and squeezed lemonade, I'm going to start with that squeezed lemonade, and I'm going to apply that all over this panel. So I'll completely cover this panel. And these are the Distress Oxide Inks from Tim Holtz. And now with the ripe persimmon, I'm going to come in from the bottom. Just kind of create sort of like a half circle here. Just to create a little shadow. We're going to be creating some sun rays, and I just want it to be a little bit darker down here at the bottom. So I'm going to blend that into the squeezed lemonade, and then I'll add a little bit more of a shadow down here. I want it to be darker at the bottom. So with my Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous Rays stencil, I'm going to go ahead and tape that down with a little bit of purple tape. And now with a damp baby wipe, you want to make sure it's not too wet. So I did have that sitting out for a little while we were working on the other pieces of this project. And with this damp baby wipe, I'm going to clean off some of that ink. I just want to give a lighter look to those rays. So I'm removing some ink here. So just kind of remove and then turn your paper towel around or your baby wipe around and just kind of blot up that color. Again, you don't want to have it too wet. You just want a damp towel here. So I'm just blotting up that color, and that's going to kind of give the effect that those rays are right in those colors there, and you'll see that here. You can see how pretty that is. Now I'm taking a dry paper towel and I'm just blotting up anything that's wet there. And that'll also remove a little bit more ink. I'm going to go ahead and heat set that now. And then going back to squeeze lemonade, I'm just going to dull this out a little bit. I just want to take away a little bit of that brightness. So I'm just adding just a very soft touch of the squeeze lemonade here. Now I've got some shimmer spritz spray from Sukiniko, and this is the gold, and I'm shaking that really well, and I'm going to spritz this panel, and I've laid this on my We Are Memory Keeper silicone mat here just to protect my area, and I'm going from quite a ways above this, maybe 8 or 10 inches above, and I'm just giving that a nice spritz, and that's going to give this a beautiful gold shimmer. And you do want to clean the nozzle on that when you're done. So I'll heat set that, and you can see that beautiful shimmer that we get. So let's work on the grassy border here. So I'm using Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn, again the Distress Oxide inks, and I'll just apply that Twisted Citron all over this panel. Just a nice even coating. Then with the Mowed Lawn, I'm going to come down over the tops here just to create a little shadow here. And I'm using my Picket Fence Studio life-changing brushes to do my blending. And now I've got the brand new Rustic Wilderness, and I'm going to add just a little bit of that right at the very top of these little grassy borders. And then I'll just come back in reverse order and add the Mowed Lawn, bringing that down a little bit further, and then I'll come up from the bottom and blend this whole thing out with the Twisted Citron. So that'll sit right down at the bottom of this panel, and our frame will sit on top. Now for the frame, I did want to pop that up, so I'm using some Scotch foam mounting tape, and I'm just going to cut some thin strips of this and place that all around all 4 sides of that frame. And that'll pop that up a little bit. So again, I'm just going to place that all the way around this frame. So now that that's all set, let's create the card base. So I've got a piece of cardstock 8.5 by 7 inches, and I'm going to score that at 3.5 inches. And that'll give us a standard slimline card, which measures 3.5 by 8.5. And again, I've used the Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. So I'm just pressing that out with the bone folder. And now I'll go ahead and die cut these images. This set does come with the coordinating dies as well, and I did stamp and die cut a few extra images. Now before I run those through my machine, I like to put a little piece of scrap paper over them. If I've already colored all my images, it just protects them a little bit. And this set comes with this little banner die, so I went ahead and die cut the happy birthday out of that little banner. So it's really nice that you get that banner included in the set as well. So now let's lay out the scene a little bit here. I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to do my gluing, and I'm going to go ahead and glue down the car. Now one thing I will say here, if you're going to put anything inside the car, you don't want to glue the whole thing down. Just kind of glue the bottom of the car down, you know, around the tires and the bottom. I did glue it all down, and I kind of had to reach inside there to put the little party hat in later on. Now I did decide there again not to include these little fenders. I just thought they got in the way of my grassy border, but they would certainly be really cute if you pop them up and place those on the car. So now I've got these two little streamers and I'm going to go ahead and attach these. Now you could attach as many of these streamers as you like. I think these really add a little bit of a festive look to the car here. It's really fun. And then there's this little bow that we colored in, and I'm going to place that right up at the top of these streamers here. And I'm popping those up with the Scotch foam mounting tape, and you can start to see how cute this is. Now again, you can fill the car with all kinds of things, the presents, the candy, and all that. But again, I got that in my head about that kind of Candyland theme where the car's just driving along, the balloons are kind of trailing behind, and you're coming across all these fun little things. You know, the presents, the candy, the cupcakes, and whatnot. So I kind of went that way instead. I was originally going to tuck everything inside the car. So now I've got everything. I'm just trying to lay out the design here a little bit just to see where things are going to fit in. And I want those balloons to look like they're kind of attached to the back of the car and kind of like floating off as the car's driving along here. So again, just take a little time here to play around with things. And again, just trying to decide where I want to tuck all these items. But I thought, in the end, I thought that banner would be cute, kind of coming off the back of the car as well as the balloons. So I'm just grabbing my Pitt Artist pen. This is a black pen. It's a 0.1 millimeter pen. And I'm going to draw the little streamers coming to the car. Now I've already gone ahead and attached all those balloons, and I did pop those up using some Scotch foam mounting tape. And I just want to make sure that I kind of get in underneath there so it looks like one continuous line for the streamers. And I'm just adding some little loops in here and there. You could certainly just draw a straight line if you prefer that. And I'm just going to draw another little streamer for this little banner. Now I'll go ahead and pop up the happy birthday, again using the Scotch foam mounting tape. Now before I attach that, I just want to see where that's going to be. So it was going to go over that grassy border a little bit. So I'm going to set that aside for a second while I attach a few other things here. So I'm going to attach my presents. And now that those are in place, I can go ahead and attach this border to the bottom of this panel. I'm not going to put glue right at the very top, just in case I want to tuck a few things in underneath there. Now I'll attach the candy here. And I can go ahead and attach that little happy birthday banner. And here's where I'm just going to tuck that little party hat right in the back of the car here. Now I've got one cupcake, and off camera I did stamp and die cut a second cupcake. I just thought it was a little plain over there, so I'll show you that here in a second. So now I can go ahead and attach this panel to the front of my card. And I'm using my ATG 700 permanent tape dispenser to do that. Just lining that up. And now I can go ahead and pop up the frame. So I'm removing the backing from my foam tape. And I'll just take a second or two here to make sure I line this up really well. So I'm just using the corner there to line that up. And I did notice that one of those balloons was up a little high, so I'm just going to pop that up. I hadn't pushed those balloons down really well yet. I left them kind of loose on top of that foam tape so that I could move them around if I needed to. So now I've got my Nuvo Crystal Glaze. This is just a clear glaze, and I'm going to add that to the hubcaps on this car, and I'm going to add a little bit to the cupcakes as well. Now I did decide to add a few little extra tails on those balloons using that same Pit Artist pen that I used before. And here's where I've got that second cupcake that I stamped and colored in, and I'm going to pop that one up, adding a little crystal glaze to that as well. So now with the Queen and Company Fimo hearts, and I will list that down at the bottom and provide that information for you. I'm not sure if these are still available. I've had these for quite a while, but I know they have a lot of similar products as well. So I'm going to attach 3 little hearts over here. I just thought this side of the card was a little bit bare, so I'm going to put 3 of those cute little hearts there, and they're pink and red, so it went really well with my card design. So let me give you a closer look at the finished card, and you can see that beautiful sparkle and shimmer that we have in the sky there, and all these cute little elements. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.